Well, hello everybody, BuckEater64 here, and by golly, we're going to be doing a little bit of test flights. Got the latest update for XP-12, got the latest updates times 2 for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, that's SU5, and also the Australia update, which is, I think, number 21. But we're not going to be flying on Australia. We're going to be doing a little short test flight in from Santa Ana, California, John Wayne International, which is KSNA, and we're going to fly to up near San Francisco to Half Moon Bay, KHAF. Now, Half Moon Bay only has a 5,000 foot runway, but we're going to be flying the DC-3. Now, in both simulations, I've had run into problems with my DC-3s that are, supposed to be very high fidelity. I'm going to be flying eventually. I'm going to try the first one, which is and V-Sky Labs version, which has a G1000 glass cockpit, but I've had a lot of problems with that trying to get the engines to run. Don't know why, but it didn't. Then again, now V-Sky Labs is payware, but my favorite all-time version of the DC-3 C-47 is made by AeroWorx. Now, I've been flying this version ever since X-Plane 10, and it's a freeware version. There's been a couple updates over the years, but I got to tell you, this one is just my all-time favorite. And it works really well. The systems work. Even the Sperry auto gyro. But that being said, I don't use that. I end up using a pop-up GTN 750. But it has a good autopilot in it that can bypass the Sperry, and so that's what we're going to fly on the first leg of this. We are going to be flying in XP-12. Then from there, we are going to go into Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and we are going to fly the Airplane Heaven version of the DC-3, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure that's going to work, but I've had problems with the latest update in Microsoft that has broken the autopilots in many of my aircraft. So anyway, let's get into the cockpit, let's get things started, and let's get into the skies. See you there. Alright, so here we are at Santa Ana, John Wayne International, Southern California, and we're going to be flying today as a test flight, because eventually what I'm going to do is this is XP-12 and the latest update, and we're going to be flying to Half Moon Bay up near San Francisco. So we're going to be testing it. This is the DC-3, and with my livery on it, which Microsoft Flight Simulator 24 will be flying that too. I want to just combine them to see which one visually is my preference. Microsoft, even in update 5, SU5, which just recently came out just a few days ago, at low level, and this today we're going to be flying around 5,000 feet, but at low level, some of the buildings, some of the bushes and the trees just look like blobs, look like, put it bluntly, looks like crap. So X-plane, we're going to fly this airplane if we can get it started. Otherwise I may have to go back to another version of it, my favorite version. But we're going to try this one with a G1000 suite in it and see what we can do. So let's get inside the aircraft. And let's see about getting things started here. Okay. And it doesn't look like the controls are working, so let's stand by here. Alright, well, we couldn't get the V-Sky Labs version of the DC-3 started. I've had that problem before and I'm not sure what's going on with that. But this is one of my favorite version of the DC-3, and it's AeroWorx DC-3 C-47, and it's freeware. It's just amazing. So we're going to do this for this test flight to look at the, little nuances of the simulation in viewing it. We'll see how this works. Real quick, what I'll do is we'll look at my graphics settings, and got almost everything full blown up, robust contrast. If I've got this set at full resolution, I don't use any robust contrast. And then 2 for my filtering, and I use 4 MSAA. And so there, over here, I use max for clouds because they look really nice. Shadow quality, I'm not too worried about. I keep that low. And the density on high, not max. Vegetation high, and the rendering distance is high. It gives me a little better performance that way. So with that being done, let's go ahead and get inside and get this girl started. Hopefully things will go better than it did with the and that's my co-pilot. He just, that's the way it is. Got a little congestion this morning. But anyway, let's get inside the cockpit and get the old girl started. Okay, so we're all set here. And get that up a little bit. We're going to be starting the right engine first, so we'll add that. Let's go ahead and get the props up all the way. Got the right, left main. right main. Okay. Yeah. And there we go. Okay. So with that, let's go to external power. And okay. Right primer. Woo, that could have been bad. Yeah, this is why you should use checklist. What can I tell you? Alrighty. Okay, so now we're going to be taking off from 20 right. And things are pretty cloudy today, so okay, so okay, DI shouldn't be a problem. Let's take a look here. Alright, so with that, let's get this girl started. All right, we are ready to go. So we're going to go right down here. And we're going to be taking off from 20 right, so. So let's get flaps configured for takeoff. Okay. Tail wheel locked. Mixtures to full. And we are ready to take off. Positive rate, gear up. Flaps up. Okay, so looking pretty good. Let's turn the autopilot on. Okay, well, we're slowly climbing just through 2,000 feet. Okay. But it looks like we're on path. pretty cloudy day, so. We'll see how this flight goes. See if the weather clears up anywhere. But let's move my window. Freeze it right there. It doesn't look like we're gonna get to see too much difference in the but the frame rates are good, no stutters, so at this point I really can't complain. And so just over 5,000 feet. So if we look at, let's see, X dispatch, it'll show me where I'm at. Okay, so we are presently 148 indicated airspeed, ground speed 150, 5193, heading 317. Catalina Island, one of my favorite places to sail to. Alright, so VFR. This is a pretty good little program, especially with X-Plane. You can actually launch X-Plane using this, and it works quite well. Just over 5,000 feet, plenty of clouds today, but yeah. And we'll be flying through the Central Valley, so we'll catch you when we get closer to Half Moon Bay, San Francisco area. See you then. Okay, well, we're within about 60 miles, and as you can see, it looks like there's a weather front coming in. So very prominent ridge line there for the clouds, and actually at about 54 miles, so we'll be starting our approach here pretty soon. Okay, so, but it's all looking good. See you when we start our actual approach. Alright, so we dropped down to about 5,860 feet. And we're getting ready to start our approach. Our approach starts in about 2.5 miles. So we'll see how this goes. Okay. So we have started our approach. Runway 30 at Half Moon Bay.
Vertical trap.
need to be about 3,800 feet at Junda. So if that's the case, we're about 5 miles from there, so we're high, but that's okay. I don't like running into the mountains. So going through clouds, so I've got to trust my instruments. Half Moon Bay approach. November 327 Whiskey Sierra DC-3 on approach to runway 30 full stop.
Skyhawk 123 Alpha Zulu unable non-radar contact. Remain VFR. Monitor CTAF 122.8 for Half Moon Bay.
Remain VFR, monitor CTAF 122.8 Half Moon Bay, 327 Whiskey Sierra. pretty close to being on flight path. Sure don't see anything. This is supposed to be VFR. Okay, so hopefully we're going to see something. Okay, so see if we can find the runway. Okay. We don't see runway 30. We're pretty close. Landing gear coming down. I cannot see the runway. This could be real interesting. Yeah, these clouds are so low. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we are going to turn off and we are going to go around. Gear coming up. Okay. We can maintain this altitude about. Stay below the clouds. Okay, so okay, flaps down. Approach speed is good. Okay. Very good. Kind of funky weather, but we got here. Okay, so we made it to Half Moon Bay. We got a Cirrus jet sitting here. Okay. So, there we have it. All right. Now, let's see how things go in Microsoft Flight Simulator 24. Okay, so now we are going to be doing the flight, or that was the plan, to do the same flight that we did in X-Plane. Same aircraft, same flight plan. Anyway, but I did the updates for Australia, and then I also have the system update 5, and let me show you why I can't do that flight, because the updates apparently have broken at least 2 of my aircraft, dealing with the autopilots and so on. So let's take a look and let's see what's going on. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so let's... Okay, flight plan's in. Okay. Okay, so looks like the autopilot is broken. Okay, so let's just see if we can get it started up. Let's see if it'll keep running. Okay, so we don't know what that's all about. I'm not sure. So, looks like we got her running. That didn't make any difference. Trying to figure out what that alarm is. I think it has something to do with the autopilot, because that board isn't working. Okay, so let's see if we can get underway. Okay, so let's see about getting her taken off. You hear that horn? I have no idea where it's coming from, but if you notice down here, you see that blinking on the autopilot? I don't think that's going to work, but we're going to find out. Okay, and we're gonna do away with that. Unlock the tail wheel. Okay. What we're going to do we're going to push her back some. We'll see how it goes. So I'll check back when we're ready to take off. Welcome to Santa Ana, John Wayne International. Okay, so let's mixture's full. Looks like we're all set. Let me see that. So that means the autopilot is on. Let's get ready for takeoff. Okay, well, as you see, we're going to be making the flight. The autopilot is not working properly, but it's still a good way. It's a beautiful day, so we can just look through the clouds and see some of the scenery, but the real change is, like, I'm not using any photogrammetry on this flight, so we're going to just see what it shows when we get to Half Moon Bay. Yesterday when I was flying in the X-plane, the same flight path, which had to do some deviation with this one, that's for sure, because the autopilot won't fly it. So we're pretty much doing a direct flight at this point from John Wayne International in Santa Ana, South Carolina, or Southern California. Oh, yeah, it's been a frustrating morning. But anyway, we're going to fly there, and then as you saw yesterday when I was coming into Half Moon Bay, and we may have that same thing. We had very low level clouds, didn't break out of the cloud layer till we hit 900 feet. So we actually followed the flight plan, did the approach, and unfortunately we were above 900 feet because when we got over the airport we couldn't see it. So let's see what happens today with this, but we're going to be getting low, and maybe we can get a look at the scenery and see if it's any better. If I use photogrammetry, I end up, when I get low to the ground, all I see is blobs when it comes to trees and even some buildings. So with that, we're going to get back in the cockpit here, and as you can see, I've got the autopilot turned on because it does seem to be holding altitude. And I did change the flight plan. You can see it telling that you know, our trek is 325. The one thing with this aircraft, if you get it trimmed up properly, it will pretty much fly the way you want it to. But it's holding it about 8,000 feet. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, we're 33 miles away. We're going to start losing some speed. And altitude. Because we're pretty close to approaching. I really would rather not deal with these clouds. Alright, so as you can figure, the autopilot has been turned off for a while because I got tired of listening to that noise. So Just barely see through the clouds. So that makes the approach interesting. And we get a good look at the clouds. "21 miles to go." So we can still make flights with this aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but until we can figure out what's causing the autopilot to get wonky, I think I'll stick with X-Plane because it just works. I mean, the DC-3 from Safe Haven is, or Airplane Heaven, flies and is easy to hand fly, but that's fine for a real short flight, but not for anything over a couple 100 miles. Okay, so presently we are just over 2,000 feet, skirting the hills. And we're 10 miles away from Half Moon Bay. Okay, so and we can see the airport straight ahead. Gear coming down. Okay, looking good. "5,000 feet of runway, which should be plenty for this old girl." I think we've got some crosswind here, which isn't surprising. Okay. Okay. We are down. Okay, so with that, so we made it down okay. Everything looks good, but the autopilot doesn't work. Now let's look at the outside. No photogrammetry. The trees look okay. So this looks a lot like X-plane when you don't have the photogrammetry. And if I did, these all here would look like probably blobs. Okay. Well, there you have it. The second flight, a little more difficult than the first one because we didn't have an autopilot that worked. But the one beautiful thing about the DC-3 C-47 is the fact that if you get it trimmed well, it nearly flies itself. So what can I tell you? This was a lot of fun. And I fly in primarily 3 different simulations: XP-12, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and DCS. When it comes to military aircraft, I usually fly in DCS because, as far as I can tell, they've got the best all-around simulation for military style aircraft. Whether you like combat, whether you just like to fly around, flying in DCS really gives you a very in-depth systems and functionality of military aircraft. Now, that being said, this particular flight, I sure hope you enjoyed it. Both the flights. XP-12, that Freeware aircraft just makes me smile. It's just really good. And I like me, I like older things. And it's just great fun to fly that airplane and to make trips with it. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, what can I tell you? It's broken. I wish that they would just get it fixed, fix the aircraft, fix the systems, stop doing updates that keep breaking things in the sim. It's a great sim. It's awesome. Visuals are outstanding, except if you use photogrammetry, which everything you get close to the ground looks like big blobs of garbage. But that being said, I fly without the photogrammetry, and the trees and everything, when I get close to the ground, as you saw, they look like trees. Buildings look like buildings. They don't look like, melted wax. So I'll keep doing that. I fly different simulations based on the fact of what aircraft is available from my hangars for that sim. But unfortunately, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, as much as I enjoy and appreciate the work that Asobo has done, they keep doing update after update after update, and they keep breaking things. Right now in my sim, it's broken. The electrical systems don't work on some of the aircraft. The autopilots don't work in some of the aircraft, and it just makes life frustrating. So, what can I tell you? That being said, if you do like the videos, or you have thoughts and comments about how to make these videos better, please feel free to click the like button and make a comment below. I read each and every comment that my watchers make, and I learn from them. I take advice. If it's constructive criticism, I take that without any anger, because I like to learn. I'm an old guy. Like I said, I'm an old man. I like old things. But I need you younger people, or even you oldsters, to tell me what you think so that we can make things better. And with that being said, hope you enjoyed the flights. Hope you enjoyed the videos. And as always, this is Bug Eater 64. And remember, do as I say. Not necessarily as I do, but always, always safe flying.